Inside versus outside problems. It's a silent killer of practice growth. Have you ever had one of those moments where you think, wait a sec, why am I even dealing with this? For me, that moment came in the middle of treating a patient. So I'm super focused, I'm really doing my job, it's a brand new patient, I have his head in my hands, I'm trying to impress, then suddenly the curtain flies open. And in came my mother-in-law, just like Kramer from Seinfeld. And she slides in and she says, hey honey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a guy on the phone, we could buy a whole box of toilet paper. I said, fine, just go ahead and get it, no problem, just get it, right? And she says, well, no, honey, that's not my question. My question is, do you want white or pink? And that was when it hit me. I had trained my people to come to me for every single decision. I wasn't solving important problems. I was just solving all problems. And I just basically waited till they came and hit me and then I dealt with them, right? I was buried with inside problems and it was quietly killing my ability to grow. I was constantly putting out fires. And when you first open a practice, honestly, your head is outside of the building, or at least it should be. It's like, how do I get people in here? How do I get past the receptionist to talk to a doctor? How do I fill the schedule? How do I keep patients from dropping off? How do I get patients to refer their friends and family? But as you get busier, you begin to hire people. You start to get a little breathing room. And without even realizing it, one day you look around and all you're doing is writing policy manuals, you're mediating staff disputes regarding the break room, you're rewriting job descriptions. You're involved in so many other things than actually driving your business growth. Sometimes it's fixing the copier because you're the only one that knows how. See, those are inside problems. They keep the machine running, but they don't make the machine bigger. Outside problems that are worth solving is how to get more attention, how to get more people to know your name, how to strengthen your physician referral network, how to reach physicians, running a reactivation campaign successfully, and building a community presence. It's not posting a post every once in a while on Facebook. So let me give you a real example from my own practice. So I was struggling to get a constant flow of new patients into my practice. What I thought anyway, my solution was to keep patients happy, be the best physical therapist I could possibly be, and the rest will take care of itself. I was thinking that's what I needed to be. If I'm the best clinician I can be, everything else will work out. So I was grinding along and I brought this lady on named Linda. Now Linda used to work for me when I ran an outpatient facility for a hospital, and within weeks of her starting, our patient volume just shot up. It really just took off. And I thought, wow, I must be delivering the great care and the word is getting out, right? And one day I said to her, Linda, I don't know what's happening, but we have gotten so busy. I don't know what's happening. I think the word's finally getting out. And then she says to me in somewhat of a sheepish way, she says, I was a little worried about my job security. We weren't all that busy, so I started calling doctors that I knew you when we worked at the hospital and just let them know that we have some openings for new patients if they want to get anyone in. So I was, honestly, I was very annoyed. I was somewhat embarrassed. I go to the phone, I call my consultant. I said, you wouldn't believe what she did. She's calling these doctors and letting them know we have open appointments. And it kind of cheapens what we do. It's like we're begging for business. And my consultant says, hey, that's great news. You need to congratulate her. You need to promote her and put her over your marketing. That ended up being one of the best moves I ever made. I had a staff member who full-time focused on outside problems that, if solved, create practice growth. Outside problems that, if solved, create practice growth. Instead of all of my attention, or all of most of my staff's attention, focused on servicing the patients, getting the billing out, putting out a fire, figuring out who sits where, all kinds of things like that. Right? Linda went from just scheduling patients with an inside focus to be in charge of filling the book with new patients, with business, with an outside focus. And guess what? She didn't care if we had enough staff to even treat them. She only cared about driving in the demand for our services. We had to figure out staffing later as we got busier. And here's the truth. So many practice owners will stop marketing when their staffing gets a little tight, or even really tight. And honestly, that's a backwards way to look at it. You create demand first, because a full book makes your practice much more attractive to hire into, and it gives you the revenue to pay more for good people. It's like being the captain of a ship. If you love cooking 5-star meals for your guests down in the galley, that's fine. But while you're doing that, actually no one's steering the ship. Right? So you're guaranteed to run aground. If you're a clinician owner and you love treating patients all day, you might be the best physical therapist who ever lived. But your job as an owner is to be an executive captain. Being a good executive creates more future for you, your family, your staff, their families, than being the best back pain specialist in the treatment of Bob Smith's back condition that he would ever find anywhere. Many times I talk to practice owners who are actually worried about their own financial survival. I'll tell you, when you think bigger, then things begin to change. You want to make more money, guess what? Every staff member does too. So the only way to make more money, I say all the time, is to make more money. And making more money comes from solving of outside problems. Making more money is solved by focusing on solving outside problems that, if resolved, would drive business to your door. And that's extremely important. So here's where you start. List out every problem that you've had to handle last week. Just every single one. Hiring headaches, insurance issues, the thermostat is broken, who's going to fix the printer. List them all out. Make a really, really full list. And then beside each one of those problems that you had to solve last week, label them inside or outside. An inside problem that you had to solve, kind of something you had to do to keep the doors open, right? An outside problem that you worked on is something that actually brings about growth of your business, right? And you need to audit your time. If more than 70% of your time is spent inside solving problems, and part of that's your patient care, of course. I mean, you got to do those things if you're treating patients, but if 70% of your time is spent with solving inside problems, no one's looking outside to drive business in your door. Whether that's business or staff, no one's looking. So you need to shift towards maybe 20% more attention outside than what you're doing now. Maybe one more doctor lunch, one more community event, one more reactivation campaign, not just one social media post. Ask yourself, when was the last time that I stepped outside of my practice to market it in any way whatsoever, or had a representative do it for me? When was the last time that was done? Again, not a Facebook post, right? Nobody else is going to grow your practice for you. No one else. So your staff can keep it running, but growth is your job. That's what you do. That's why you're there. You're the CEO. You steer the ship to reach its destination. So if you're ready to make that shift from inside focus to an outside focus, that's exactly what I help owners do. Some want to be home for dinner every night. Some want 20 clinics. Some want to have their business run without them having to physically be there. If you have a goal, let's book a call. Let's figure out how to get you there faster. Thank you.